So it is time for a brand new pickups video if I don't fall over, and we're going to be taking a look at pickups from Doncaster Gaming Market. Here's the little highlight reel. Gaming Market, guys, part 1 is here. Part 2 drops tomorrow. We're going to scour every inch. We're going to start here now. I want you to pay close attention to this stall. 1, we go back to it multiple times, and I noticed that certain games started to appear. And in part 2, guys, we're going to focus on one of the most expensive and sought after Sega Mega CD games out there. It just appeared and I couldn't believe the price. So pay attention in this wall. And then we're going to be taking a look at the things that I picked up from Copious Sales and Exchange. Here's a little highlight reel from that little retro game hunt. Wasn't. I'm just improvising whatever I say here. But we're going to be diving a look. This is one of my local-ish shops. So I thought with it being Christmas, I'm not going to venture too far. I've absolutely hammered up and down the country retro game hunts this year. So I thought, you know what? I'll treat myself to a nice short drive today, and we'll take a look at what amazing retro games, consoles, toys, and a little bit of everything here in Nina's shop. I've been in here, and I will link their Facebook page in the description if you'd like to go. So lots to get through. We're going to kick it off with indie developers though, so don't you guys go anywhere. I want you to get comfortable, and remember, we do things differently here at Team 24 HQ because we will be taking a look at hyper-focusing on some of the games. We don't just show games willy-nilly like most people. We do it a little bit different. We add value. So get comfy, let's roll the intro, and let's do this. Well, doesn't it just seem like quite a long time ago since I was here in the lady lounge, aka half of my games room, because I've just been out and about filming. And like I said in that week introduction there, we're going to be taking a look at some games, and I'm going to start with some shout outs for the indie devs. Now, I was stopped by the awesome Alistair from Low Tech Games, who developed some homebrew games. I believe the games were kickstarted quite successfully actually, and Flea is one of those games that you may be familiar with if you have an Evercade handheld and the indie cartridge for the Evercade, because he was kind enough to give me a bit of a goodie bag, and I'm going to grab that and show you now. We have Flea on the NES, we have some Tapeworm Disco Puzzle on the NES, but then Flea on the Dreamcast as well. Now, it was really nice to talk to Ali. I love talking to indie devs because their passion shines through so much. And he gave me these, and I thought, do you know what, mate? I'm going to have a little bash on these. I'm going to talk about them in my pickups because people might not be familiar with this. It is really, really awesome. You play as a little flea, and you have to collect these potions, but you just jump in all the time, and you've got to move around with your D-pad to try and collect your potions. Then go to like a bit of a warp zone area, like reminiscent of, I guess, a Super Mario pipe, but it ain't a Super Mario pipe, and you go to the next level. It really is fast paced, and what really struck my eye was that a lot of YouTubers, big names, actual big name YouTubers, have played this and have given some wonderful feedback, as I did put pictures out on my Instagram of who those tubers were. So Flea was one that really caught my eye. I used to play a jumping, it was like, I forgot what it was called. You had to jump on clouds. It was an iOS game, and you just had to keep going and going and going, and the higher you got, the higher the score you got. So this, and I really enjoyed that. So this for me was one that I knew I would just fall madly in love with. So we're going to take a look at some gameplay from Flea now, and I'm going to link Low Tech Games Twitter in the description if you'd like more information. I make no sales. They didn't even ask me to show this. I'm doing it because I want to do it. So let's take a look at Flea from Low Tech Games.
how freaking cool is this? This would have been an NES game back in the day that I would have been obsessed with, so I can see myself sinking hours upon hours into this. Now, Flea is available on Evercade, it's on Steam, Dreamcast and NES. I will link Lowtech's website in the description. You've got to check this out, guys, as well. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and I think it's one of those games that I will literally sit down to play and I'll think, right, I've got 20 minutes, but really I'm just going to be like 3 hours later. Oh my goodness. So I can never see myself getting bored of it, guys. It's a wicked game, and mad shout out to Ali at Low Tech Games, who's super talented. Like I said, I'll link everything you need to know about Flea in the description.
Next up then is another indie title, and let me give you a backstory, because I'm going to be talking about Intrepid Izzy on this Sega Dreamcast. You may have seen this in the Retro Gamer magazine, you may have seen this in your local retro game shops. Now, I had a message from a couple of people that I know own retro game stores, Button Bashers and Doorway to Darkness. Both of the owners are called James, and Wave Game Studios were going around some retro game shops, not giving these out, but selling these to retro game shops, ready for you to go in and buy. And both James and James messaged me and they're like, these guys have been asking about you, we've told them about you, they're trying to get a hold of you, so Gemma, they can give you a copy of this. So I was like, wow, okay, my name's getting out and about, which is really cool, because I was walking around early doors on the Doncaster Gaming Market, and one of the guys came up to me and he was like, whoa, there you go. And we were talking, and it was so cool to see them as publishers really pushing this game into the hands of gamers, into the hands of the retro game shops, and boy, is this an absolute perler. So we're going to be taking a hyper focus on Intrepid Izzy, and I will link their Twitter in the description if you want to go and buy I Make No Money. And guess what? They didn't even ask me to show it, but I'm showing it because I'm passionate about video games. Let's go.
So this is Intrepid Izzy. It looks so nice. The colour palette, the backgrounds, the foregrounds. And in doing my research on this game, it was nice to know that it's actually region free. So whether you're in PAL, NTSC regions, it doesn't matter, because this will work on your Dreamcast. And I thought I would just let the trailer run out here, as I think it encapsulates the game really well, and it's nice just to be able to hear the sounds. The soundtrack is remarkable, like, alongside the side effects. I mean, look at the snow here. It just looks stunning. So I'm going to let the rest of this trailer play out for you guys, and I'll link I'll link the website for these guys, the publishers, in the description. But you can also get Intrepid Izzy from most UK retro game stores.
I went out and did a very, very miniature look around the toys and retro games at Nina's Kirkby Sales and Exchange, and I picked up 3 games from her. The first of which was a very expensive boxed game at the market. The first one we're going to talk about from Nina is Bubba and Sticks. This cost me £15 for a loose cartridge, which is a damn good price. eBay, you're looking at 25 and over. Box, you're looking at 60 and over. Now, Bubba and Stixx was developed by Core Design back in the day, and you play the role of this very kind of eccentric protagonist with his magical stick, and you have to use the stick to manipulate areas in the level in order to progress. If you like kind of bright coloured levels, really kind of early 90s weird chiptune music, I mean, this really does boast personality audibly and visually. And when I played this on the Sega Mega Drive, it reminded me of games on the Amiga, and it is a title on the Amiga and the Amiga CD32 as well. So I've wanted this for quite some time. I'm not really bothered about having it boxed because I just wanted to play the game. So I snagged a little bit of Bubba and Stixx from Nina. I also picked up a game that I know absolutely nothing about, but it only cost me a £5, and that is King's Bounty, a Conqueror's Quest. So snagged, bagged and tagged that. I'm not even going to do a hyper focus on this one. We'll save it for the more well-known titles. But let me know if there's anything, perhaps you can share some information to the Team 24 members about a King's Bounty, a Conqueror's Quest on the Sega Mega Drive. I'm eager to hear from you guys. I'm eager to hear from you. I'll be keeping an eye out in those comment sections for some information on that. Now we will hyper focus this next one. This is an unboxed SNES game. This is Joe and Mack, Caveman Ninja. Let's take a look.
Joe and Mack, Caveman Ninja. Now, you've probably played Chuck Rock. And I can't help but feel the resemblance in terms of aesthetics and gameplay in this. And I'm a huge fan of Chuck Rock. I played it first on the Sega Mega Drive, and I've really enjoyed it since, kind of going back to it as well. So when I saw Joe and Mack on the shelf at Kirkby Sales and Exchange, I knew that this bad boy was coming over to me. Now, the game itself oozes eccentricity, and we've got the protagonist, which he has kind of cool punk rock green hair and just utilises things around him, anything that you would expect to find in a prehistoric environment, like bones and wheels and whatever else, clubs, and you basically just have to mash your way through this awesome side-scrolling level. So it's really awesome. This is out on many different platforms as well. Super NES, Game Boy, Amiga. You can really feel the Amiga vibes with this one as well, including with the sound. So it's a nice little game. I think I paid about £7 for this. So yeah, pretty darn happy. So let me know what you think. Joe and Mack, Caveman Ninja.
So we've looked at some indie games, we've paid homage, we've looked at a couple, I would say several pickups from Kirkby Sales and Exchange. Now we're looking at the Doncaster Gaming Market pickups, and I'm starting with a nice banger of a PS1 title, and that is called Lomax. So this looks absolutely brilliant. I've never played this, but it kind of reminds me of a Lemming / Rayman on the box art. I negotiated down to £45 for this title. It was in at £50, and it's missing manual. So I do need to snag myself a manual. It's highly unlikely anybody on here has got one, but if you have, let me know. So this is really cool, and well, guess what, guys? We're going to be taking a hyper focus about it. Let's take a look.
Lomax! Check this game out! I'm questioning where this has been all my life. Now, this is a Lemmings spin-off, and a mighty good-looking one at that. All of the Lemmings are plagued. They take the role of the enemies, and you basically have to kill them, which essentially frees them, and they can become Lemmings again, and they sail out on their little umbrellas, which of course is what we know as one of the not weapons, thingy-mabobs in the original Lemmings game. So you can see here for yourself, we've got gorgeous kind of parallax scrolling. The game itself looks really tricky, but how cool is Lomax? This is brilliant, and it may be one for a future Twitch stream.
Next up then, another classic Sega game, we have some Rystar. This is in really gorgeous condition. I paid £60 for this, if anybody wants to know. And Rystar is one of those like classic, gorgeous side-scrolling action really feel-good games of the 90s where you play as the most random protagonist, a star with super long limbs, and you just have to progress through levels basically. It does feed into a lot of other games like James Pond. I see elements of James Pond in this with just how off the wall cool it really is, and you can expect to pay £60 and upwards for this. This was the cheapest copy I found down at the gaming markets, and it was just a chap that I met right at the beginning and then again right at the end who was selling his personal collection. I don't know your name, but shout out to you if you're watching. So Rise Star guys, let me know if you've played it, when you played it, and who you first played it with. Nothing much to shout about on this next one. In fact, I've already posted it out on my Instagram, but this, I paid a £5 for this, and I already own the Wipeout Omega collection, but I wanted the slipcase as it's reminiscent of an old PlayStation 1 single case box. So that's really nice and cushy, I was going to say. Obviously the box art is exactly the same as it would be if you had this without the slipcase. There's nothing majestic as such about the inners, but it's just the slipcase. I'm not going to do a hyper focus on it, but Wipeout, I mean, Wipeout changed so much for us as gamers on the PS1 with the music, with the visuals, with the frames per second. I mean, it was just awesome, and I think the Omega collection is worthy of a mention here. Next up then was an absolute surprise to me. I saw this when rooting through a box of GBA games. This is Dark Arena, and this for me looks like a hodgepodge of Duke Nukem and Doom elements. There's definitely really cool things from the first-person shooter universe, and I had a quick look on my phone. I was like, Dark Arena, I've never heard of that. Let's take a look at some gameplay while I was kind of hunting on, you know, and I thought this looked really nice, and I paid 20 quid, which is probably the going rate if you were to go by eBay prices. Got a little slipcase for it as well. I thought it looked really cool. On the back it says like top secret, a code red distress call requesting an emergency rescue was received from the United Arms Organization top secret training facility, codename Dark Arena. In response, my men and I were sent to assess the situation to provide backup support. And there you go. I think you can get the baseline of the story for what kind of first-person shooter this is. So it's got a cool backstory. It's not just mindless for FPS. It's got a little backstory. So this one, guys, is Dark Arena. Next up then, got a couple of Sega Saturn titles here. Picked up Virtua Racing and Rayman. Now, I watched a recent episode by Digital Foundry on Rayman, and they looked at the audio and visual differences between the different platforms, and this is actually a really good port. I would urge you to perhaps just type in, after you've watched this episode, Digital Foundry Rayman, and you can watch it for yourselves. And I was like, I watched that episode a while back and I realised I didn't have a copy of Rayman. Again, a really classic side-scrolling 90s franchise, if you would. Very similar to the ethos of Rise Star in just a, you know, protagonist that has not even limbs, but just the ability to, in stretch, I guess, invisible limbs to be able to progress through different levels. Beautiful little soundtrack. Great little kind of foreground, midground, background kind of levels design. It really is awesome. There's not a lot I can say about Rayman because a lot of you guys out there have played it. And of course, Virtua Racing, really into my racing games at the minute, and I'm blaming Forza Horizon 5 for that. Now, what I would say is I'm streaming a lot of Forza Horizon 5, so make sure you come over to twitch.tv/thegebs24 and come and give me a follow and come and hang out with us on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday night if you want to see me play some Forza and perhaps other racing games as well. So that's 2 more Saturn games in the collection. Next up, I made a mistake here. I made a mistake because I paid £15 for Twisted Metal on the PlayStation 2. And again, if you watch the footage, it was a stall that had the best stock, but it was insanely overpriced. It was the one with the Snatcher on it and all the overpriced Super Nintendo games. Paid £15 for this. It's only £5 in CEX. So a little bit naive on my part. I'm also after Twisted Metal on the PS3. I know my friend Rob really likes that game. But yeah, this is a really good Twisted Metal game. The draw distance is absolutely terrible on it, but it feels really smooth when you play it, and it buys into that classic craziness of Twisted Metal with all the different characters and different cars, and each car has a different power. It's really, really good fun. You've got to check it out. Finally, a Super Nintendo game that has been on my list for a while. We're going to do a hyper focus on this one, guys. This is... My dog just went... Are you okay? Jurassic Park on the SNES. Let's roll the hyper focus.
Yes, Jurassic Park on the Super Nintendo, launching everywhere in 1993, but then later in Japan of 1994. Now, the game lends obviously 100% from the movies, which we should be all familiar with, and it takes the form of a first-person shooter, nice Doom-esque action game, and then flicks to a nice top-down when you're not in any of the kind of buildings. So if you're not in a building, you're out in the jungle and you're scouring the wilderness, it's top down, anything in buildings, and then obviously you're into your first person shooter mode. Game itself looks great, plays great, sounds great, and it's one of them games that you can expect to pay between £8 and £30. Obviously unboxed versus boxed. I paid £30 for my copy, and again, this might be one for a Twitch stream.
Wow. Indie games, Mega Drive games, Super Nintendo games, Sega Saturn games, there's everything, and it just makes me burst with pride to be able to get out there, do the retro game hunts, come back, show you guys what we've got. We've got loads coming up. I need to do my final Team 17 episode on the Amiga CD32 series. There's going to be some 2 Girls 1 Gaming topic. A new episode might actually be out on that. And then I'm not going to be showing you the attic yet. We're going to do that in a later episode, but if you are a channel member, there's already behind the scenes stuff there, so if you want to join, click the join button or the join link in the description for £1.99 per month. That's like £2, the price of a coffee. You can support the channel and you can maybe get some behind the scenes stuff depending on what tier you pick. But for now, have a gorgeous day. My name is Gemma and I'll see you in the next one.